Hurrah! So I'm in After Effects. It's dark as it is, but I'm recording this, so don't worry. And I want to bring in my videos and assets. So I can go to the folder. Green screen examples. And that's also where I saved my images as well. Now the awesome thing is, oops, hold on. Get rid of you. Delete. Let me pull in that data. So I'm going to grab all of these and just drag them in. And now I've got my movies and I've got my images. This can start to get really kind of cumbersome, so what I could do is make folders inside of the project in After Effects. And let's say I make a folder, that's this little icon at the bottom. Call it images, and then I can just put my images into that folder. And then I can make yet another folder, movies, and just drag them into there. And this will save me from having, like, it's more organized, and it'll save me from having tons and tons of stuff inside of here and not try, like, what was that, or where am I looking for that, or, you know, and it makes it a lot easier. Okay. So, let's see. I'm going to take sure, why not? I'm going to take a movie, and I will drag it into the little composition button to make a composition, and there it is. And I can even pull that composition. It wants to put it in the movies folder because that's where it originally was. And I can just drag it out. So it's all by itself. So if you look here, oops, not that. So you can see it. I've got my images folder with my images. I've got my movies. And then I have this one. And I'm going to rename this one into key. So I changed the name of my composition that has this movie in it to key. So I made the movie, or I took the movie, I made a composition by either dragging it, either you drag it into your timeline or you drag it into the little composition button down here. And then I renamed it to key. So you right click, got the bottom, rename, and I call it key now. Okay. So if I scrub through this, see? She's getting her Kamehameha on right there. So that's working. All right, so everybody okay so far? Yo.
I didn't drag my folder in there exact that. I only did
If you just have the movie and the images that, or the image that you chose, that's fine.
okay.
I was just showing how to organize this stuff, so it'll make life a little bit easier.
Okay.
Okay. So the first thing I want to do is you'll notice that the way this is filmed, there's this extra on the sides, right? And she never goes past that area. She's always in here. So I don't, and this isn't green because I could see the whiteboard on either side.
So we cropped that.
Yep, so we're basically gonna mask that area out. And so I have my movie down here in my timeline, and I have it selected. And up at the top, there's this little guy right here, rectangular tool. You see that?
Yeah.
If I click on that and choose the rectangle, and now I'm going to draw a box around her in the background, cutting out the area I don't want. See? Like that. So let me do that again. I grab the rectangular tool, and then I draw a box that is not going to intersect her, but it crops out the area that I don't want. So now if I play through, you see that? I'm not seeing that. Cool? Alright, so I'm going to use a different technique for this one. This composition is going to be our mask for the rest of the movie. Okay, so I'm going to tweak this out so that I use this as my mask, and then I'm going to put the movie back in underneath. So I need to do a few things to this. Okay. One, let me adjust this image so I can try and flatten out the green. You notice there's some highlights that we talked about, light bouncing from the white board in the back and then shining through, and just evening off some stuff. There's some shadows and stuff that if we had used the steamer, it'd be far less that we'd be worried about. So I want to kind of even that green out. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Effect, and I want to adjust. Let's see, where are you? Not distort, not generate. I want to actually adjust some of the things on this layer. So what we're going to do before we start keying it is go to color correction under effect, and let's start out with levels. So color correction, levels. And if you remember levels inside of Photoshop, is I have this little histogram up at the top left. If I zoom in, you see that? This guy up here? And this information is showing me the levels of this image. You know, the brightness, the darkness. And what I want to do is I can choose whether I want to affect the RGB, which is all channels, the red, the green, the blue, or the alpha. Let's just choose green for a minute, and you can see the histogram for the green. And let me just see what happens. I just want to tweak this just to see. So you see how I can darken the green, or I can brighten it, that kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to see where this green is at. And I'm increasing the input white just to brighten it up so it's globally just brighter. And I'm darkening the green input black. So I have my green input black at about, let's see, about negative 17.9, and my green input white at about 186. Now, of course, you're starting to see these wrinkles pop up more, but that's mostly because of, you know, that's where we didn't get rid of them, so now they're popping up even more, and they're going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but that's okay. I'm affecting only the green there, but I can go into the reds and adjust them. Okay, so if I have that, I'm just messing around. Let me add one more effect. Let me go to Effect, Color Correction, Curves. And this one, once again, I can affect RGB. But I can actually just go in and once again choose, let's choose the green. Oh, there we go. So do you see how I'm sharpening that out? Can you tell that? This is what my green looks like. So under curves, I chose green, and look at how I have it in this sine wave. And as I adjusted that, what you can see is, look at, do you see how it's actually brightening the green in the background? Yeah, we're trying to flatten out that green more so that when we turn this into a mask, it's going to be a lot easier.
So we're not, I mean, this is the image we're going to use of her. We're just using this to mask out everything else.
Yes.
She'll have an actual clean, clear image up top.
Yeah, so we'll have a duplicate of the footage underneath, and this will be the mask on top hiding it.
Okay. So the goal is not to preserve her, it's just to get the green bright.
Get the green bright and preserve her edge. So I don't want her to go full green because then she's going to go out, but I'm trying to separate her and wash out the green that's in the background.
What's the option you're in right now?
I created another effect of curves, and I chose green in particular, and I'm adjusting the green of the curves there. So any of these you can adjust separate channels. To try and separate her so she has less green on her. Uh-huh.
I'm trying to find, where's the curve?
Same spot, effect, color correction.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be a bit extreme. That's okay. But I've tried to flatten out that background. And once I'm like, all right, that's enough. Now I'm going to go up to effect. And all these I can go back and adjust. So don't be stressed out if it's like, ooh, it's off, it's whatever. I can tweak it out, and we'll have to tweak it out a little bit later. But now I'm going to go under effect, keying. And let's start with a key light 1.2. So effect keying, and it'll give me this now in my effects, key light 1.2. And where it's saying screen color, you want to choose the little eyedroppers and select the green. Now, before I show you the next phase, did everybody find the key light okay? And then select the green to drop it out. Yes? No? You guys okay? Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're all right. Go down to your timeline. Right-click and under New, add a solid. And let's make that solid a blue or something like that so we could see a lighter blue. And hit OK. Now it covers it until right, yeah, got it? Right click in the timeline, add it, and then move it to the bottom. And then you'll see it down there. And what we see is what's being keyed out and what isn't. Do you see that? Where we see this haziness, and these were discolorations. So she's pretty intact. There's a little haloing around her, but that's to be expected. Nice. Everybody okay? Good so far? Sweet. So I'm going to go back up, select the movie, go down to the key light, and start adjusting the key light so we can get rid of some of this extra noise and tighten it up a little bit. Okay. So I put that image in the background so you guys can see where that haziness is. Okay? So when I go to the key light and I start to make adjustments in here, like if I start adjusting the screen gain, you see how I could start to tighten that up. And it's far less now by increasing the screen gain. Another thing is we're looking at the final result. Do you see that option in your key light? It's right at the top.
What option at the top did you say? I missed.
Final result under view, under the key light effects. If I click on that and I go to screen matte, this is showing me in white and black what is transparent and what's opaque. So the areas that are pure white are solid. The areas that are black will be invisible, will be keyed out, and the gradations of gray will be picking up whatever is, behind. So we could see part of her would be semi-transparent. Okay. But I can start making adjustments. If I go under Screen Matte inside of the key light options and open that menu, I start to lower the clip white and increase the clip black just a little bit. And that's a lot better than what it was. So do you see how that's masking out, guys?
Yep.
Let me pause it for a second, just make sure. So we made our adjustments. We've got this, most of it pretty much canceled out. Doesn't mean it's perfect yet, okay? But it means we've got this nice little layout. And if I were to turn off, let me, well, switch it back to final result. And ignoring that, yeah, I'd have to do some color correction and stuff. But if I were to go in and, let me see, drop in just temporarily one of those images into the background so I could take a look. And hide that blue. Oh, it's cool. Check it out. She's fighting on an alien planet. What's funny is because the red tint I give you, you're actually matching with the background more. That's kind of funny. Yeah, and it's done. Yay. No. So what you'd want to make sure of if I zoom in.
So this background, right now it's set as a solid, but is that something that you can have a moving background?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And you could see as I change the background, see? Cool. Now, of course, what we were talking about last time of how the red is worked for the other one, not so much this one, right? So, I mean, yeah, kind of, but not really. We'd have to adjust it. There's more blue in this scene. So if this were that final plate, then I would have to make sure that I actually add and tint her image so it's more blue in it. So that's just something I have to make sure of. Okay. So questions on that so far? How are we doing on time? Doing all right. We got a little more time left. We'll have to pick up the rest of it later, but this is a good start where we're actually getting this stuff in. So, let me just see. So from here, let me do a little bit more adjustment in this to continue this on. So the next thing would be fine-tuning it more. Okay. I go back under Effect. Excuse me. Go under Keying. Hello. Assuming it's doing it. Oh. Yeah, select the layer. That helps. Go back under Keying. And there's a couple of other things I want to kind of help out with, like the key cleaner and the key spill suppressor. Aren't those fun? So let me turn on that blue a little bit so we can actually see. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And what you're seeing, do you see how there's a little haze around her? So when I turn on the key cleaner, do you see how it's kind of softening the edge out a little bit too much? I have to go in there and adjust the radius. And what I'm going to do is let me do a... let me just grab a section and hit spacebar so I can have the high-res version. So when I adjust this, the key cleaner, you see if I crank it out too much, it does this. We don't want that. At 0, it does nothing. So as I adjust this, let's see. We can adjust the strength. I'm gonna turn, let's see what happens. Turn on reduce chatter. We're trying to see how clean we can get the outline of her. You do whatever gets you the effect that you're actually looking for. What we're also trying to do, and we're about to adjust that, is to get rid of the actual halo effect that we sometimes get when we have a cutout like this. Let me add one more effect. I'm going to go into keying Advanced Spill Suppressor. All right. Okay. So let me turn on that background just so I could see what it looks like. Kind of see what's happening with the edges. Now what you'll notice is now it's starting to take me longer to make adjustments and see the differences. Let me just try. So I'm getting a little bit of some weirdness on the edges here. If you're ever wondering what's causing it, remember you can turn, just by pressing the little FX, you can turn that off and on. And just see what it's doing. So I can shut these off and on to make adjustments. And if I soften that up a little bit, okay. just double check something. Whenever you see a radius, that's where you can actually make adjustments. So essentially, I'm just trying to get a cleaner edge to her. And every once in a while, I'll go back and look in my key light and see the screen mat so I could see what's going on. And all of these, I can always go back and make adjustments to, okay? Which is kind of nice. So now I'm going to go in. I'm going to go back to my movies. And I'm going to make another movie file, or another movie composition. So I drag that into the new compositions. Boop. Or actually, let me do it this way. I'm going to make a new composition, and I'm going to call it Final Comp. And inside of there, I'm going to pull in that movie all by itself. And I'm going to pull in my key composition on top of it. So in other words, here's the original. This is the original. This is the key comp. So let me show you what I'm going to do here. So you might want to take a look before you try this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, inside of my movies, let me zoom in so you can see it. I made a brand new composition. So I have the original movie and I have the key composition in there. So the key comp is on top, the original movie's on the bottom. There's the original movie. Here's the key comp on top of it. And what I want to do is, here's my original movie, and under TR track mat, where it says none, I'm going to click on that and choose the alpha mat is going to be the key, which is that composition that I just made. And what that does is, now if I bring in one of these images in the background, you see it's maintaining the original color of her and masking out everything else, because everything that it's using that original comp I made, the key comp, as a mask. Whereas if I hadn't done that, remember she had, because I had to tweak it out, she had those reds and stuff. But now I can actually go in and I could tweak some things out and make adjustments, or go back in and make adjustments the masking to kind of tighten up some of the greens. Hmm?
Where did you get the thing using the
So I made a brand new, an empty composition. So now I have two compositions. I have the key and then the new one I just made. And I just made a new one either by dragging the original movie file into the comp button or just right-clicking and saying new composition inside of the project screen. Once that's done, inside of there, I drag the key composition into this new final comp composition, and the movie I drag underneath it. So let me pause and then I'll walk around and see how you guys are doing.